See, there's one new dead fish laying in the bottom there. I didn't see yesterday. Yeah, there's crystal clear water. I'm not seeing one fish in there. So let's see if we can catch that sucker on camera if he decides to jump, right? Different camera angle, put my back to the water. And oh, you know what I'm gonna do after this? I've made a little steel plate here. When I went and retrieved my trail cameras yesterday, there's one dead salmon laying there. It must have had about 20 huge crayfish, crawdads, all over it. And so I got this steel plate from the shop and put a GoPro on it. I'm gonna actually lay this down on the bottom with right there in front of the salmon and leave it on record and leave it there until this afternoon. Then I'll go back and get it and edit up a cool video and see what exactly goes on down there as they're gobbling up those dead carcasses, right? I think that'd be pretty cool, as long as it's still there when I get back. And as far as the bears go, I had a pile of bears on those trail cameras. I had everything: raccoons, owl, catching stuff. I found a perch where an owl keeps taking all of his fresh kills and just lands right in front of the camera and gobbles up whatever it is he's gobbling up. At one point, I actually think he had a crayfish in the middle of the night. Who knows? Maybe the crayfish go up to shallows in the nighttime. I don't know. But it looks like he had one. What else? Mom raccoon and a bunch of babies went ripping by. 2 or 3 absolute monster bears. What else? Eagles, vultures, the same old stuff. But it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool to watch. But there's no fish down here. You can't smell them. There's no birds. And then we're on the back deck this morning having our coffee. All of a sudden Sarah goes, "There's a bear." And here comes this bear walking blatantly right behind us across the backyard by the pool. So I waited. He didn't see us, so I waited till he was fairly close, and I ran at him. Scared the shit out of him. He took off. Lucky for him. But I'm not a kill-hungry person. But I'm not stupid either. We have children there, we've got livestock there, we've got us there, and if a bear does come onto our property and shows us aggressive behavior, he's done for. That's all there's to it. He's done. Game over. Do not pass go. But anyway, I got a bunch of shares here that I'm going to do this morning. I'm going to go back to the man cave. I'm working on the floor finally, putting the stained floor down. And we are leaving tomorrow to go in a fishing derby. Sarah's going to go in it with me. It's $10,000 first prize, 2-day derby, 2.5 day or something. That'll be fun. And what else? Oh, what the hell? I'm going to give you guys a little bit of a rant. Why? Because somebody has to, okay? People have got to stop being scared of speaking about what could be considered to be taboo topics in the world today. And I'm not scared. And if you actually come to this channel uninvited and you got a problem with what I have to say, you're probably a little bit of a psychopath and you just need to go home. Just go. Just go. I was just going to say something really rude and I just bit my lip. Anyway, there can't be more of a blatant sign of being an absolute psychopath for a human being to go onto YouTube, find a channel they don't know nothing about, weren't invited there, and then blow a gasket because somebody's not saying what they want to say, or somebody's saying what they don't want to hear, and then blowing a gasket, and then announcing that they're not subscribing. Sorry, but that always makes me laugh my freaking head off when somebody pulls a full-on Karen snap sandwich and announces they're unsubscribing. Gotta admit, come on you guys, that is pretty funny, right? Imagine going to a YouTube channel, you were invited, you didn't announce you arrived, you didn't announce that you subscribed, and all of a sudden you feel compelled to blow a gasket and announce, "I'm unsubscribing. Goodbye." Alright, I'll stop right now. Fuck. Oh, but anyway, so it's no surprise, it shouldn't be too much of a surprise to anyone right now of what is going on in the so-called free Western world today. It's absolutely alarming. What is alarming to me, like especially our friends in Australia, what's been going on down there is absolutely atrocious. It's wrong. You need to fight it. There is such a blatant example of basic human rights being stripped from people in the so-called Western world. It's amazing. You know, a while back they showed a housewife, mom with 3 little babies at home, a husband, and they showed Australian police officers, which should be almost referred to as Gestapo by now, in their home, arresting the mom because she was organizing a protest on Facebook for everybody to go out and voice their opinions of their human rights, and they arrested her for that. Do you realize how wrong that is? And if any of you are upset that I'm bringing attention to that right now, give your head a shake. It's going to happen to you any day now, possibly, right? What else is going on? I got actually kind of excited. They started protesting for their rights in Australia a little while ago. Mainstream news isn't going to show too much of it, but they have substantial pushback from the people finally when it comes to their basic rights being stripped from them today. Stripped from them. And what's alarming to me is that there are actually people in law enforcement who are tackling, beating, and arresting these people. Arresting a mom inside her home. Do you know how disgusting that is? It's a blatant example that the police, who we pay the police to serve and protect the people, not the politicians. But somewhere along the line, we lost that, and the politicians gained it. And the police are now basically, sure, they police the human beings, but their number one objective, it seems, prove me I'm wrong, I'm open to discussion, is to protect the dirtbag politicians, the tyranny. All you people in law enforcement, what would it take? Honest question. What would it take for you to finally see that absolute wrong is being done to the people and you turn on the people who are directing you to do that? What would it take to get you to do that, to get your heads out of your asses and start protecting the people from the tyranny instead of assisting it? And I'm asking just an honest question, because some of the shit we've been seeing going on in cities today around the world is absolutely unacceptable. You know, when I see a huge protest going on in Australia, which is 100% for their human rights, their rights that they own, I get excited. And then, of course, the Australian government disperses more police officers to put down that protest. And I'll tell you what, if I was there, if I was ever in the position, do you know what I would do? If that huge display of human beings coming out to fight for their rights faced a line of police officers who should be protecting those people and supporting the people. Okay, fine. You guys think you're going to be stronger than us? Well, the people are going to band together even stronger. We're going to go get more organized, and we're going to come back, and we're going to come back with a force stronger than you. And then you have a choice to join our force, fight for human rights, or deal with the consequences. That's what the people do. That's what we've done since time began. That's what the free world's supposed to do. Right? You fight. The opposition who's taking your rights away fights back, throws up more people at you, you get more people. You organize and you squash them. And you take back the freedom, you take back your right. You protect your rights. Right? Prove me I'm wrong. But anyway, I do have an honest question to all you law enforcement out there. Many of you obviously just do what you're told like a puppet, and you will turn absolute violence on the people when they're fighting for their God-given rights to be free. And you beat them. Right? It's not right. I want to ask you guys, what point is it when you finally, you go home? Here's another way to put it. All right, you're in Australia, as an easy example, you're an Australian officer. You go home after work. Your wife might be there. Maybe you cook dinner together, whatever. Hey, honey, how'd your day go today? Well, we went down and busted the ass of this housewife. She's about getting ready to organize a protest on Facebook. So we arrested her ass right in front of her babies. How do you take that frickin' work story home to your family and tell them what you did today without being absolutely embarrassed and ashamed? There you go. There's my morning rant. I'm telling you right now, if it ever gets to the point where our rights are absolutely being stripped from us, that is when you have to fight. You have to organize, and you have to fight back with all you have. Period. The opposition throws the stronger force at you, you get a stronger force and fire right back at them, and you give them the option to join the free people, to protect your rights, or deal with the consequences. Right? How's that for a rant? Okay, that's what I got to say today. I'm not scared to talk about it. If that pisses you off that I just talked about that, well, maybe you should just go home and spit on it and sit on it for a while, alright? Now, let's get to sharing some of these people's words that need to be heard on the channel that the people have created and own right now, which is this one right here. Alright, what do we got? 3-letter agencies, puzzle pieces in plain sight. Take away what you will. Oh, it's going to be... Alright, here we go. I don't know what this is about, but I'm going to read it. I've watched a number of YouTube videos after finding your channel at random a few months ago regarding a question about the role of 3-letter agency in government disinformation activities and denials about unusual forest beings. I found the following source while casually browsing. The same way I discovered your channel, not by searching or hunting. The guy's name is Stephen Greer, and he's been active for the past 30 years in what has become his Disclosure project. He doesn't mention forest beings per se, but his focus is on the disinformation about the terrestrial presence of extraterrestrial beings and activities since 1947. Is compelling and, I suggest, identical to your own search for answers. The same bad guys with the same modus operandi, along with the caveat that these bad guys belong to a transnational corporate military arms club, which has successfully excluded the highest levels of the U.S. government, including Biden, Trump, Obama, Bush II, Clinton, Reagan, Carter, back through to Eisenhower, and most of the top intelligence folks. Why excluded? Plausible deniability. I was initially skeptical about Greer until I watched the video of his presentation at the National Press Club in Washington back in 2001, before 9/11. That and a 20-year anniversary video, August 2021, are both easily found on YouTube, along with a large number of other videos, by Googling his name and/or the Disclosure Project. All out in plain sight, even lists of corporate names. Take from this what you will. I doubt you'll feel a need to publicize my name, even if you find this message useful. Why would you? After all, this stuff is easy to find, and I would bet you're already aware of it. If not, it won't take you long to check it out. And my name is on LinkedIn. Call me, if you must, call me Zenas. Alright, well, that sounds like a bit of a possible promotion, so I'll pass on that. Sorry, I'm still respect the fact you set this. If you decide it's BS, please do let me know. I can handle it. I hope this info gives you a little bit of relief, certainly no satisfaction, just as your channel does for its listeners. In any case, keep up your good work. Alright, man, Kevin. Your name's Kevin, thanks for that. I hope you understand I haven't a clue who you are, so I'm not going to promote your business name or your LinkedIn, alright? That's not what this channel's about, but I appreciate the time you took to send that in. And yes, I am familiar with Stephen Greer. I do appreciate the hard work and the concern that he has, and I have a feeling there is a lot of substantial knowledge there for the people, for sure. And it takes time, right? It takes a lot of time these days because we're so busy keeping this machine going to feed all these pricks our money. It takes a lot of time to learn the real, actual, true knowledge that's going on today, right? So there you go. Hopefully a bunch of people, especially our sleuths, our team of sleuths, will dive into that and have a look and learn and share the good word of the people with the people, the knowledge, and begin to find answers out, right? There's another one, Bigfoot / Sasquatch. Steve, please don't use my name. Enjoy your channel more than you could know. I'll be 66 years old next month. My story happened in about 96 or about a quarter mile west of the Wichita River in west central Arkansas. I hunted with my wife at the time's ex-husband and his family. I owned a store in a small town of about 350 people. I'd go into the woods the day before a deer season opened and not come out for at least 2 weeks. Nice. First thing to understand is I am not a badass and never claimed to be. You know what? We're all badasses. We just need to be pushed to the badass point. You're a badass. I didn't get to fish and hunt until my late teens as my dad worked in the oil field. He worked 7 days a week, and if he took a day off, he didn't get paid. We were poor, but we had the necessities. I started hunting and fishing when I started dating a girl in '72 in the 11th grade, and her stepdad began to teach me. I had a blast. I lived in north central Texas at the time and had a few times that I felt as if I was being watched, but never felt any fear. Fast forward to the day before deer season I mentioned above. I had been in these woods alone several times with nothing happening except having the being watched feeling. I just figured an animal was watching. I was the only person in camp and sitting by the fire having my favorite beverage. Out of the blue, my body started to tingle and I had a cold sweat. It was in the low 20s. Come on me. And a panic like I've never felt before. I was a cop for over 10 years with the urge to run. The problem was my legs wouldn't work. I have no idea how long it lasted, but as soon as my legs would work, I bolted for my camper. Once in the camper, the feeling left. I was pretty shook, needless to say. I stayed for the entire 2 weeks, but I didn't enjoy the hunt as much as usual, even though I limited out that year. I know this is nothing compared to most of your stories, but I just wanted to send this to you. To be honest, I had never considered my story to involve Bigfoot/Sasquatch until I began watching your channel. Thanks for what you do. Don't stop. You enjoy watching your channel too much. God bless and have a wonderful day. Raymond, thank you so much for that, man. And you know what? That is interesting to me because if anybody out there has an idea of what, how, possibly, what do you think it is? What source of energy do you think it is that could possibly make our bodies freeze up? Is it absolute adrenaline? Possibly. I'd also be curious to know if you felt exhausted after that soon afterwards. I have a feeling Dave Plias probably know more about this certain scenario than I would at this time, although I'm learning more daily. I want to know, I would really, really find it interesting to find out what energy is it, do you think? What is it that is capable of making us freeze in place and can't move? I know that absolute shock, I've seen people freeze. I remember one time I was with a guy, we were kids, and this great big cougar was coming right up the trail at him, and then I came into the scene. We had bows and arrows, and we were teenagers, and the other guy was a lot shorter than I was, and the cougar stopped dead, and I drew my bow back, and I'm going, don't run, don't you run, don't run, and I'm kicking snow at the cat. Yes, I was literally kicking snow at the damn thing, but this other guy was frozen. He was absolutely frozen in place. So I do know, obviously, adrenaline, is that fear that freezes you, or adrenaline/fear? That's what I'd like to know. And that might help a lot of us possibly begin to learn exactly how that happens, what's causing it, and what's going on, because I want to know. So thank you so much for sending that in. And stay safe out there, all right? Olympic National Forest 2021. This is red. Hi Steve, earlier this year I went on a walkabout of sorts. I was living alone with my 2 dogs in eastern portion Washington State and had a mystical experience late last year. I've been watching you and Dave for the last few years and honestly don't find much interest in anything else at this point. I'm a Navy vet and an NREMT EMT. I have a few other degrees and certs. I've been around the block. None of the schooling in the world can equate like experience, and it seems the more experience one has, the more willing they are to shut up and listen to what's going on without reacting and evaluating the information being presented. That's just my observation. I was getting cabin fever and felt the call of the wild, and some very interesting coincidences took place. I try to keep it short. My 2 Great Danes and I ended up at a campground. I can't remember if it's Brown Creek or Bear Creek in the Olympic National Forest in late February. It was still snowing and we were the only ones there. About 7 p.m. I set up a tent and my dogs refused to get out of the truck. I thought maybe they were cold, but over the next week I would seriously start to doubt it. It was just the cold that kept my 2 120-plus pound dogs frozen in the pickup. We slept in the truck that night and the next morning was beautiful. Absolutely gorgeous. The Olympic Mountains are awesome. Having the best spot on the river and waking up to clear teal water with everything lightly covered in fresh powder with no other humans in sight is something to behold. I can't describe the joy and peace. I was wearing a black and blue jacket, and this black and blue jay bird showed up and started chirping at me from the tree. I thought it was interesting that the bird and I had the same paint jobs. Hey little buddy, what are you saying to me? I felt this bird was intentionally trying to tell me something. Weird, right? Throughout the week, the dogs and I would hang out by the river and would walk around the park and even get stuck in the snow up on the mountain for 2 days after my truck got stuck in a snowbank and had to call the search and rescue to come get me out. This bird was always around. Everywhere I went, there were shoes, like people's shoes, just in the woods. A flip-flop on top of a new powder. On top of new powder? A mile off the path? Holy shit. A pair of Jordans in front of a 7-foot boulder face. An abandoned car in the snow with a pair of shoes on top of it. Where I got stuck at was on a road that was supposed to have been blocked off, but apparently wasn't. Luckily, it was an open spot on a hilltop with great call reception. My dogs running around and I was failing to dig my truck out of the snow when all I can describe as my poor attempts at turkey calling with my mouth started coming from the woods. It didn't sound like an actual turkey. It sounded like me making turkey calls. No gobbles, just mouth calls. But it wasn't me. And how did a flip-flop get up here on the top of the feet of snow? Do turkeys even walk around on feet of snow? I honestly don't know. After returning back to the campground, thanks to Washington State DNR, Mason County Sheriff's Department, and the Sheldon police efforts to locate me and help me get my truck out of the snow, I repitched the tent that had collapsed under the fresh snow load, and the dogs and I laid down. I'm thankful to all involved. Across the road was a trail area, and those turkey call sounds started again. It's like it followed me back. The blue jay would come and check on me and fly off. The next day, there were now 2 of them, both black and blue, same as my jacket. Dead same colors exactly, and they would not shut up. They're getting into something's ass in the trees. They did not like whatever it is I couldn't see. They would fly off and come back, fly off and come back. When they would fly off, all I could hear was the sound of the river. We were probably 20 yards away from the water's edge, so it was a nice ambience, only to be broken by these weird clicks, seemingly coming from the trees and the occasional turkey call from across the road, and the black and blue jay making his rounds coming back to the campsite. It would be quiet for a while, and then the clicking would start again. It sounded like 2 or more predators in the trees talking to each other. Click, 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 click. Birds come back swooping and squawking. This went on for about a week until I left. What the heck is going on? Let's just remove ourselves and our human agendas for 1 minute. Let's look at this from a neutral perspective. Those sounds happened for days. My food would go missing. My dogs were uncomfortable a majority of the time. The shoes? Were those jays protecting me? My dad's a 30-year police officer, and even though we're estranged, he taught me one thing that I live by. Listen to your gut. My gut says there's a whole bunch we're not being told, and don't get me started on COVID, the vaccine, psychedelics, all the stories of Sabe and their ability, lights in the sky, or any of the things we can't explain. Like the silent triangle UFO with active camouflage in the night sky I've personally seen right above me in Grand Prairie, Texas a few years back. I'm curious if you know of anyone who's gone missing with a male and female dog with them. Peace and love, my friend Justin B. Hey Justin, the shoes mentioned is bizarre, man. Absolutely bizarre. But you know what? Where I live, if you want to Google it up, it's not on the same note, but it's kind of similar. In the shores of the Fraser River and a couple beaches around Vancouver, British Columbia, numerous feet in shoes have washed up on shore. Numerous. I don't know the exact number, you can Google it up, but it's in the teens, I believe. Might even be over 20 feet. And all various different kinds of shoes. Only 1 foot, never 2, never a body. And no explanation, nobody ever figured out how, why, what, anything. So how frickin' creepy is that, right? I guarantee you there wasn't dozens of people hopping around on 1 foot with one missing down the highway anywhere else either, right? So, I can't explain that one. The Blue Jays, I will guarantee you a handful of people are going to go in the comment section. The Sasquatch are watching you through the Blue Jays' eyes. I think there's a couple of white guys I saw on YouTube a while back that said flat out, the Blue Jays come and checked us out and the Sasquatch are watching us through their eyes. Do you understand how much of an insane person I would seem to you if all said to you right now? The Sasquatch can see through birds' eyes and they're watching us. They're watching me right now through that seagull's eyeballs. If I just blatantly made that statement, it'd be an absolute nutcase, right? Prove it. You know what I mean? Something like that is a little outrageous for me to swallow and accept. I think there's also some First Nations people that have mentioned it. Until I can see through the eyes of a Sasquatch who is seeing through the eyes of a frickin' gray or blue jay. Sorry, I'll never jump on that bandwagon, alright? I just can't. It's not even remotely possible for me to accept that one as fact. And it would take one hell of a display to prove that to us, wouldn't it not? Anyway. Thanks again for sharing that, man. Absolutely appreciate it. Be safe out there, right? Go with your gut. And listen to your dogs. Very important for all human beings to listen to their dogs. They are our accurate sixth sense at our side at all times. Why did I come here to tell my story? Steve, I appreciate what you do, and I know it takes a lot of time to do it, and I'll tell you why I came here. A while back, I sent an email of mine on my son's encounters on the Dan River, North Carolina. After some of my encounters, I told a sheriff. After I told him, and he told one of the deputies, and he told his father, who would make fun of me. One day I drove up to the gas station. The deputy's father was talking to someone in a truck. He tried to belittle me in front of the man by saying, "What are you doing, Bigfoot?" At the time, the man in the truck, "Can I talk to you, sir?" I said. "Anytime," he told me. He seen one when he was a teenager on his grandfather's farm from the deputy's father. Look back, get a little bit of punctuation missing here. I said anytime. He told me he seen one when he was a teenager on his grandfather's farm. The deputy's father looked like he was gut shot. They'll tell you one thing, never talk to the authorities about this subject. Steve, this is why people come to you about their sightings. You're someone we can trust. That is why I shared my sighting. Keep up the good work. Can I go fishing with you? Pete Atkins. Thanks for that share, Pete. Appreciate the kind words. It is unfortunate that people belittle other people, and the shitty thing about most cowards, well, 100% of all cowards, they will never look you in the eye one-on-one in private and belittle you, because they're cowards. They'd rather go find somebody else, do it in a crowd when they got somebody around them to feel secure and tougher, right? Tell you what, you get somebody who belittles you that way, you go take them aside, catch them one by themselves, square up to them, look them square in the eye, and ask them if you have an issue that you need to sort out with me. Alright? Don't let people bully, man. Fight them. Fight them back. Put them in their place. Tell them to go F themselves. Thanks for sending that in. Floating lights. You know what? Okay, here we go. This is red. Sighting and floating lights. Steve, I'm writing to you to share a very brief encounter I had. That your videos made a connection for me to two events that I didn't realize might be connected. I'm retired now, but I was a hydraulics service engineer working with an aerospace company that was providing fuel metering systems for jet engines. In May 1994, I was on a service call driving from Raleigh, North Carolina to Goldsboro, North Carolina on State Road 70 to do a maintenance work on jets at Seymour Johnson Air Force Base. I noticed off to my right what I thought was a bear. Near the pine trees, off the highway to my right. It was primarily black, fairly large, sitting just to the right of a bush. As I drove past it, it stood up on its back legs and walked into the pines with leg movement that was quite like a human's and nothing like a bear's. Awkward movements. Nothing like a bear's awkward movements while walking. This was a smooth stride and smooth swinging arms with its back towards me. The head was looking down. Mind you, I was driving 65 miles per hour, not expecting to see wildlife that afternoon. The sighting was not more than 15 to 20 seconds long, but I was confusing because I had never seen a bear that could walk like that. Since I was on a business call, I didn't have the time to satisfy my curiosity. The interesting part is what happened later that night. I checked into Seymour Johnson Air Force Base and made arrangements to assist the maintenance the next morning. I checked into a motel near the base and went out for dinner. After dinner, I was back in my room watching TV and reading a Time magazine with Ross Perot on the cover, which is how I was able to estimate when this happened. I was sitting on the bed and I saw a movement in front of me by the sliding glass door that opened to the balcony. Weather was clear all day. Just to clarify what I saw. A ball of blue-white light, about 45 inches in diameter, passed through the wall above the sliding glass door without doing damage at all to the wall, and entered the room at slow walking pace and stopped about 3.5 to 4 feet into the room, turned towards me, moved about 1.5 feet towards me, and stopped. I felt as if the ball of light was conflicted about something, as if it were conscious. Then it darted at the speed that a baseball pitcher would throw a softball through the kitchen and through the closed door of my room. Again, no damage or marks. It made no sound the whole time. I jumped up and ran after it. By the time I opened the door, it was nowhere to be seen. My name is Steve Quinn, and you can use my name if you feel it's appropriate to do so. Please do not share my email address. I greatly appreciate your courage and truthful efforts to create a bigger and better understanding of our world in spite of what the government's trying to hide. Thank you. And you are very welcome, and thank you for sharing that here. There is 100% connection between these glowing balls of light and these beings. It just is. You can't deny it, and if you are too scared shitless to talk about it when you have a public platform in front of you, you're a coward-ass dumbass. Beat it, right? So many people have held this narrative, controlled it for some time now. Will not mention these stories, right? How many people have we heard from just on this channel alone that have seen these balls of light, and especially when they accompany these beings in the woods? How many people have we heard from? And I'll guarantee you that a small handful of dumbasses that have been in front of the camera for so many years now have heard just as many, and they have ignored them and slid them under the frickin' carpet. No, we don't talk about that. No, we won't talk about that. You want to talk about gigantic pickup maybe? Whatever you call that. What a bunch of assholes. Yeah, I'm in a bit of a slight mood today, but everybody should be with what's going on the planet today. Everybody should be in that mood daily for the misleading that's gone on, for the bullshit that's been delivered to us non-stop. When it comes to this topic, especially from that small handful of pricks who have ignored all of you, who have ignored so many generously shared first-hand experiences from all of you. You should be pissed off. As pissed off or more pissed off than I get when I have to be faced with the BS and take it in my brain and decipher it and the reaction it causes within, right? Babbling. 2 coffees this morning. Anyway. Maybe I'll shut her down now. I'm in one of those mega rant moods where I just want to go out and fight. And we got to utilize this time to get people's voices heard more than mine, right? But anyway, again, if you are in law enforcement and you heard me earlier in this video, I am asking you respectfully and honestly, where do you, law enforcement officers, where is it that you feel that you would draw the line when it comes to protecting us or protecting the power-mongering pricks who control you currently? What point would it take for you to go, yeah, no, we're not doing that, and we're going to put the cuffs on you for even trying to incite that on the people? Are you kidding me? At what point, what's it going to take for you to finally do that today? That's my honest, curious question. Anyway, here we go. I gotta go jump in the river. Find that, hopefully the salmon's still there, and I'm gonna put this down the bottom, back to the fun side of life, and I'm gonna videotape those crayfish and find out exactly what they do, how often they stand there, what they use to rip into the flesh of that salmon, and see what else comes along. I think that'd be pretty cool. I'll be back later on. Hopefully I'll be in a better mood. I'll just stay focused to the word of the people next time for a longer duration. But sometimes you just have to say this shit, because nobody is, or the people that are saying this shit are getting shut up. It's time to fight. Trust me.